Welcome to episode 11 of Reality Podcast. I am your host, Ricky Valero. On today's episode, I'm going to be recapping episode 9 of The Snake. We are down to the final episodes of The Snake where we're going to crown our first ever snake. I really like this show, and I feel like the dynamic of the show, it has its flaws, right? But any first season of a reality TV show has those flaws, but you can fix those with a second season. I hope we get a second season, but I know it is not looking too swell. But episode 9 of The Snake here, we are down. Let me go ahead and pull up our chart here of everybody left on the show. We are down to our final 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 people. I said last week, I was like, man, we got a lot of people left in order for us to crown this first ever snake. So we're going to have to trim some fat. But that being said, in this week's episode, we saw John give the advantage to Frank, which wasn't much of a surprise. I think we all kind of expected that, right? And we all expected him to give him that advantage, especially after putting all of his eggs in his basket early on in the last week's episode. Jim announced that there would be a double snake, meaning a double elimination, which is exactly what we're looking for. So the final 6, final 6 will head into the finale. This was one of the craziest competitions we've seen so far, with a lot of people just not willing to partake here. We had people that were going to be blindfolded wearing a shock collar. It will send the shock bolts to the person when instructed. Once they do, they will then take off of their blindfold and have to announce to everybody who they thought was the person that shocked them. If they get it right, the person that shocked them would be eliminated. If they get it wrong, the person who got shocked will be will be out of the competition and out of the running for the snake. Derek was excited. McLean was crying. Frank says he can't shock anyone. It goes against his being and withdraws from the challenge. To me, it's wild that John left this man the opportunity of being with the advantage, only to give up the advantage because he couldn't do it. And I get it, you know what I mean? But man, there's money on the line. We've got competitions happening. This is a chance to play in the finale. Like, we're down to the final options here. Like, you got to risk it for the biscuit, in my opinion. But that being said, obviously, not everybody can handle the heat inside the kitchen. But we had our first person go, which was McLean. She went first, and she selects Derek. Derek took it like a champ. You know what I mean? He was up there thinking, this is it. This is all I got. He's a madman. He's crazy. He was crazy. But he saw McLean was just in tears, and he knew it was her. She is out, so she didn't have to worry about zapping nobody or taking any more zaps, as she was gone. So then Derek zaps the hell out of Jack, and this was like an interesting thing that everybody started looking at Alyssa and picked her for every single one. So he picked Alyssa. He was wrong. Brett was up next. He picked Amanda, and she freaked the out, and everybody was mad later that he picked a girl. But Amanda then also looked at Alyssa and picked Alyssa, and she was eliminated. Jordan was up. He picked Derek. Derek is a madman. He just was like, dude. And it's crazy because Derek, once he took the blindfold off, he pinpointed that it was Jordan. But how Alyssa just moved there, second guessed himself, causing him to pick Alyssa instead of Jordan, eliminating him from this competition. Like, this was Derek and Brett's competition to win, and Derek really screwed himself here. Screwed himself big time here. The final 3 was Brett, Jordan, and Alyssa. Alyssa, she picked Brett. Brett picked correctly, meaning Brett and Jordan secure their spot in the finale, and they are the double-headed snake. This to me was where things get interesting. They want to basically pick, Jordan wants to pick 2 people, Brett wants to take 2 people, right? You know what I mean? So they wanted to ensure that there was the opportunity of 2 of their folks would go to the finale and 2 of their folks would go to the finale, meaning, you know, that's their 6. But everybody else basically had to play ball in order for this to work. So it was like, hey, I want you to pick this person. If this person goes, I need you to pick this person, right? So Frankie was the first pick. Frankie is a man of his honor and picks Derek, which was Brett's kind of number one, really. And then, of course, Jim announces 3 players remain will have a chance to plead their case. So this means Derek was the last pick. So because he was the last pick, he said that he would never do this. He wasn't going to pick Jack, but he said he played an honorable game and wanted to continue to play this honorable game. So Derek in turn picks Jack. And that obviously saves Derek and Jack for Brett's side of things. And then, of course, this left Jordan with Jordan and Frankie. And then, of course, her having the last pick. Now, to me, I thought this was a strategic play that Derek needed to make happen, right? He could have went off the rails here, picked somebody else, and really threw things for a loop. However, the problem there would have been he would have pissed everybody off, done his own thing, and then he could have had some really bad eyes going into the finale, could have been eliminated early, whatever that looks like, right? So this left Alyssa, Amanda, and McLean. Of course, to me, this was like a no-brainer. Like, I knew Alyssa was going to be saved, period, end of story. Brett penned it off. Hey, I got my 2 people. You do your thing, Jordan. Alyssa comes back. So our final 6, Frank, Alyssa, Jordan, Jack, Derek, and Brett. Interesting final 6. I would think that early on in episode 10 in the finale, we're going to see eliminations, right? We're going to have to see some sort of elimination to get rid of a few folks. Maybe the final 4 compete into the finale, or maybe it's a 2-hour finale, something, because still 6 is a lot of people as we're playing in this dynamic heading into the finale. But with those 6, I went back and I was like, you know what? It's time to make the final 3 and predict who I think is going to win the snake, right? So I think my number 1 after this week, he competed strong, acted like a madman, did exactly what he needed to do. Brett's number 1 for me. Brett's moved up to number 1. Amanda was my number 1 last week. Brett and Derek made the 2 and 3 last week. So Brett moves into number 1. Derek moves into number 2. I just feel like one of those 2 are probably going to win this competition. And then I got Jack sliding into 3rd spot. To me, honest with you, I really feel like Brett wins the snake. But if I had a sleeper pick, it would definitely be Jack. And I know he's not really a sleeper, but to me, it's the Derek and Brett show at this point. And it kind of has been all season. You kind of get blindsided by the other strategic game players, but overplaying your hand has shown that the snake doesn't really, the gameplay doesn't really affect that. You know what I mean? You have to have a balance of gameplay and almost innocence, but friendships. Because if you look at Brett has really been in an alliance since day 1 with the boys, but his turn happened whenever he became good friends with Derek. At that point in time, he had a boy. Those 2 have had each other's back, leading to this finale now, right? So because of that, Brett, Derek, Jack, my 1, 2, 3 heading into the snake finale. Guys, check out my interview tomorrow morning if you're watching the night the snake airs. If you're watching it the following day, it's already up for you guys. I sat down with McLean to talk about her elimination. It was a great chat, informative chat. She gave me a status on the relationship between her and Jack as well, which is really good. But yeah, I'm very excited heading to the finale. I really hope that we get some sort of explosive things, because there feels like there's an element of dead weight left in the competition, but it kind of is what it is. I'm excited to check out the finale. Let me know what you guys think of this week's episode. Who do you think is going to win the snake? Let me know in the comments below.